Commerce, community, and communication are in the headlines this week. Y'all come on in the house. Welcome to Earth Tones. I am your hostess, Kat Moon. A lot going on, y'all. A lot of energy out here right now. But before we get started, if I may ask you to click, like, share, and subscribe. We appreciate you supporting the channel, especially our day ones and twos. They are very few, but highly regarded and highly valuable to us. Please join the family. The temperature is very, very high right now. Anytime that you need to reduce your anxiety levels or take the temperatures down, there is a process that involves just 3 conscious breaths to recenter yourself and take the level of anxiety down to a tolerable and manageable level. You want to ask yourself 3 questions while you're taking 3 conscious breaths. 1, who am I? 2, where am I? And 3, what am I doing? And this just brings us back to the present moment. But let's just go ahead and do it together. We're going to breathe in through the nose and out the mouth. And you can ask these questions to yourself. Let's start. 1. 2. 3. This also slows down the heart rate. Like if you can't sleep or what have you, you can, as I mentioned, do that anytime. But I'd like to begin this broadcast by reciting a passage that I heard our mentor and brother, Professor James Small, recite during a lecture on behalf of the channel Ancestralism. Now, Professor Small starts out by professing that he's not into the isms, but he makes an exception in this case. And he's talking from the perspective of Amma. And Amma is the representation of all that is, the creator. And from the primordial waters, Amma is speaking. And Amma is saying, when we realize, let me go back. Amma says, when I realized that I exist, I understood that existence exists. And so I called existence into existence so that existing might exist. And when I realized that I existed, I realized my aunt was at my side. Now, my aunt is truth, justice, balance, harmony, reciprocity. And this is what we're in need of at this particular time. This is the healing that needs to take place. We need to get back to the rhythm of the cosmos. But Amma goes on to say, and then I coughed up Shu. And then I coughed up Tefnut. Shu is air and Tefnut is water or moisture, which is primarily what we're made of. Then Amma goes on to say, they gave birth to Geb, the earth, and Nut, the elements that made the planets and everything else in the sky. And then they gave birth to Asar and Aset, Nephthys and Set, the 4 beings that gave birth to the rest of us. Then she says, having created everything that my heart desires, I expanded everything. I Heka. And this is the point. Heka is magic in ancient Kemet. And Heka just simply means the vibration, which is the word in Christian traditions. But Heka is simply taking command of the word, speaking with intention. And so it is vibration. But we are our ancestors, and our ancestors are us in the past. Our ancestors are a repository, according to Professor Small, of all of our history through our lives since God decided to be us, since God decided to be you. And this particular passage was translated by four scholars, four of our mentors, Theophile Benga, Dr. Francis Press Welsing, the late Dr. Francis Press Welsing, as well as, I hope I pronounced this right, Op Meira, and our brother Tony Karak Browder. But we need to get in rhythm with the planet. And this is what's going to heal the planet. Because when we love our ancestors, we learn to love ourselves, according to Brother Small, or Professor Small, I should call him. I have a lot of respect for the brother, so I want to address him properly. And when we love ourselves, then we can love the divine or the divinity within us. And when we love the divinity within us, it's only then that we can reach out and love each other. But it is through the remembering of ourselves, of the yesterday that we forgot, that is the key to our redemption. And we should practice pouring libations, according to Professor Small, on a regular basis. But we're here today to talk about the astrology that applies to that concept. And Jupiter is in Cancer. And this is the reason why I gave this this passage here, because Cancer is the family. Cancer is the fourth house, the foundation of the zodiacal wheel. The zodiacal wheel is the life cycle. And we start out in the first house as the Fool in the tarot deck. The Fool is fancy free, haphazard, not a care in the world, because it doesn't know. It doesn't know, and it's fresh in the world and willing to take risks. And this is the Aries energy. It's quick, impulsive, all things associated with how we are in our youth. But then we embody Taurus. And Taurus is our possessions. It is all that we own in the world. It is our values, because it is ruled by Venus. And Venus is the planet that rules our five senses, our six senses, when you consider our intuition. And so Jupiter in Cancer is highlighting the family. It's highlighting our foundation, the lineage, our roots, the ancestors. And Libra, where Mars is in Libra, asking us to bring balance to these subjects. And so, as the eclipse energy that we had on the 7th of September lingers over the next 6 to 18 months, this is Cape Crusader energy. This is what I call it, Cape Crusader, because the Crusader is in Jupiter. Jupiter rules Pisces and Sagittarius. And these are the signs that highlight our spirituality, philosophies, and our BS, our belief systems. And so this Cape Crusader energy is asking us to take a look at how we were raised, our values, and our ideologies, our idiosyncrasies. And family can be classified under the different groups of people that we live our lives with. And I'd like to show here where Edgar Cayce is speaking here and explaining what soulmates are. And this book is written by Kevin Tedeschi, and it is highlighting the fact that soulmates are not necessarily simply romantic partners. Our soulmates are the people that we share our lives with, the people that we come to the earth that helps us to learn our lessons, to challenge us, and our reflections of us. And so they could be friends, co-workers, even our adversaries are here to challenge us and teach us how to live in balance and harmony and help us to make choices and decisions that reflect that very thing. Now, this week is almost done, but September 11th, yesterday, was the most auspicious day of the month, meaning it was the best day to get things done. If you had a project that you initiated yesterday, it's highly likely that it's going to be a success. And this is what electional astrology is. If you're going to be getting married or you have an event coming up and you want to know the best day to schedule that event. And this is what electional astrology does for us. So the sun is conjunct or at the same degree of the nodes of the moon. Now, the nodes of the moon is on the axis of Virgo and Pisces. And this is the axis that is being highlighted at this particular time. Pisces is where Saturn went retrograde last week. I believe it was last week. And it's taking us back to what's been happening in our lives over the past couple of years. Those people that were experiencing their Saturn return that were born between 93 and 94, as well as those born 63 and 64, who are experiencing their second Saturn returns. And this is where you may be rewarded for your hard work and dedication throughout your life. So Saturn returns don't necessarily indicate that there is something bad going to happen. It's just simply a milestone in life. But as the sun conjuncts the nodes of the moon, it is asking us to decide what we're going to keep and what we're going to give back, what we're going to leave behind. In the house of Virgo, we're talking about our health. Virgo is the house of health. And as a collective, we need to become healthier mentally as well as physically. But the nodes of the moon in Vedic astrology are called Rahu and Ketu, the head and the tail of the dragon. And we can also interchange that with the serpent. The serpent is wisdom. The serpent is serpentine. In other words, it's eternal. It goes on and on. It also has its negative connotations, such as deception. But it all boils down to transformation. And so these outer planets at 1 degree is communicating to us that we are embarking on new territory, new terrain, and we need to take stock because Virgo attends to the details, whereas Gemini collects the data, Virgo analyzes the data. Virgo takes it apart and puts it back together again. And so opposing this Saturn energy, which is still very close to feel the energies of Neptune, this is this tug of war, all or nothing. And this all or nothing energy could apply to a lot of things in our lives and in our situations. You know, that what are we going to leave behind as we embark on something new? So this eclipse energy is going to hang around with us for a while, but the past and the future is highlighted here. And so we need to make some very tough decisions as a collective. And emphasizing this energy is the fact that it's in the 12th house, the house of losses, the house of endings, the house of self-undoing, opposing the house of health, and the other significations that go along with Virgo: employment and the details. Stress is also a part of this house. And this is why it falls along with the health categories that I mentioned. But Cancer is the nurturer. Cancer is ruled by the moon. The moon is the body itself. It is the closest orb to the earth. And so the moon is very important to us. And so we should be paying attention to the phases of the moon and learning about the phases of the moon, because the full moon is when we have when we have high and low tides every day. But this is when the crabs come out to lay their eggs, the turtles come out to lay their eggs, and this is nature's, and they know. So just not only does it have an impact on the waters in our bodies, such as our menstruation, but it also impacts other species in nature. But I'd like to share my screen where we can see the US's chart. And as I do that, I'm going to mention how commerce and tariffs are still on our minds very heavy. As it squares Mars, it's challenging us to make decisions about a lot of things, make decisions about the homelands, and have discussions about the family dynamic and roots and where we come from. A lot of people with Saturn being restriction and limitations, a lot of us are holding on to old truths, or what we consider to be and what we hold true. But we're learning as we grow. We've learned so much about the earth and the earth changes, and the fact that the earth has been impacted by asteroids from space more often than we know. And we've just learned this since the year 2000. Right now, we know that Pluto is out of bounds. And as I mentioned in my last video, between 1935 and 1953, when World War II was going on, Pluto was out of bounds. And this time it's going to be out of bounds until, I believe, 2041, if I'm not mistaken. And once it comes back in bounds, it won't go back out of bounds again for another 1,000 years. So that's another indication of the change in our dispensation, moving from the Piscean age of the fishes to the age of Aquarius, where we move from, excuse me, we move into the dispensation of I know. Now, I said I was going to share my screen, so let's get to it. And this is the current chart of the day. Okay, so it's making this interesting configuration that is called the basket. But you have to kind of look at it from the side there, as the peak is between Uranus. This is the glyph for Uranus at 1 degree Gemini, and the moon, which is in Taurus. Now, let me see if I can include the US chart so we can juxtapose. I don't know if I can, but let's see. I don't know if you see that, but I know that you can see this particular chart here. Here. Okay. I'm going to explain it anyway, just assuming that you can. But the US has a lot of planets in the sign of Cancer. The US has the Sun, Jupiter, as well as Venus, the most important planets that were mentioned a few moments ago. Now, Mercury is also here in the US chart, reiterating the importance of talking about these inner planets. The inner planets, the seven visible planets, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, can be seen with a telescope or with the naked eye. And the outer planets are applied collectively because they don't orbit the sun as often as these personal planets. And so these outer planets impact us collectively. And so this is why I'm emphasizing the US as a whole, because that's my home. But there are a lot of other heads of state, other countries, such as Russia and China, that is associated with Saturn. Saturn is associated with Russia. And so our interactions with these other countries are indicative of the planetary configurations that are taking place at this particular time. Now, I'd like to go into stellarium. I like stellarium because I like to see the constellations, and I have them up here. If I were to add the atmosphere, then you can see the northern hemisphere versus, now I got to put the landscape in, northern hemisphere from the southern hemisphere. Okay, that's the southern hemisphere. This is the northern hemisphere. And we can see the sun here in the tail of Leo, beta Leo. The sun is with Mercury, as you can see. Now, it is going to form a cazimi tomorrow, the 13th. A cazimi is when the sun and Mercury are at the same degree. The sun is blinding Mercury. They're exchanging information, although the sun is more powerful, of course, in this position. But Mercury is going to move on and distribute or disperse that information, and it's going to make its way to us, as well as the energies of the other planets. So you see Mars here and Jupiter over here in Gemini. Now, we have to remember that we're talking about the position that it is actually in, which applies to Vedic astrology, where it is from the perspective of the actual position of the stars. And so that's why we see Jupiter here in Gemini, and that's why Gemini, the three C's, which is something I picked up from another mentor, and you should check him out. His name is Sam Reynolds, and I believe his channel is Unlocking Astrology. Now, my instructor, Astro Victor, is another channel that you should check out. He also has a whole catalog of courses that may be of interest to anyone that would like a career in astrology, or you just like to know more about how to interpret your own chart. Astro Victor. Now, what he shared with me was the importance of Mars energy at this time, moving us in the direction that we need to go. Everyone has strong Martian opinions about what's happening in our neighborhoods and our communities at this time. And those who may be unhoused it falls under this category as well. Who's invited to the cookout? The African diaspora is communicating internationally with new family members from Scotland and Russia, and they're all communicating and reaching out to us, and we're communicating with one another online. Now, Mars finds its joy in the sixth house, and this is what Victor taught me. Mars, being strong-willed and determined, thrives in environments of struggle, challenges that demand our resilience. And this is where conflicts and effort are necessary to bring the balance that we need. Martian energy is combative energy. In a square, it's giving us the opportunity to make different choices and make new decisions based on critical thinking, our new ways of thinking with new information. And this is where this Gemini energy comes in, where we have Uranus at the first degree. So Uranus is in the United States natal chart in Gemini. Not necessarily, not at the first degree, but it's sharing the house of Gemini with transiting Uranus. So we have our natal Uranus, which makes an evolution or orbit around the sun every 84 years, there with transiting Uranus. So this makes the energy twice as strong. So we are here to create. We are on the earth to create. And so we have an opportunity to create our future, to create a new future, create a future where our communities are cohesive and our commerce is balanced among us, and we're all able to be abundant and thrive and be conscious about our communication. Be conscious about what we say to people. We don't know what people are going through. And so it's important for us to be conscious of our communication at this time. The third house, which is ruled by Gemini, also rules our siblings, short distance travel. Some people may suddenly have to put the car in the shop. You know, this is Uranus is responsible for the breakdown, breakthroughs. It is that brilliant idea that comes through and at the first degree of Gemini. So that light bulb moment, in addition to your dreams, we should be paying very close attention to our dreams. And these outer planets are not going to come back to these positions in our lifetimes. So it's important that we step back from our daily routines and reflect on our lives and where we want to go as an individual, as a family, and as a collective. But 3i Atlas is something else that we need to take into consideration. But before I leave and discuss that, I want to show you the trajectory of 3i Atlas and where it is going to, where did I have it here? Where it's going to travel. You see it there? That's a black hole there. But that's 3i Atlas. And see how close it comes to Jupiter? Let's watch it once more. There it is. Going past Mars and going past Jupiter. I don't know if you can hear that crazy music. It sounded rather strange to me. But 3i Atlas is going to hover over Mars as it travels. Now, mind you, these stellar objects are traveling, that one in particular, 137,000 miles per hour. So it's not going to stop. When I say it's going to hover, it's going to visit Mars, pass over Mars, fly over Mars with only 5 degrees between 3i Atlas and Mars. Then later on in October, 3-Hour Atlas is going to line up with Sirius, the Sun, the Earth, and Mercury. So it is telling us something. But I'm going to stop sharing so that we can bring this video to a close. But before we do, I'd like to pull an oracle card from the deck of the Orisha. This is the African Goddess Rising deck to see what the Orishas have to tell us. Maybe they can give us a message that'll help us along our journey. So let's see if something pops out. There we go. Oh yeah, storms. Storms are brewing. Pluto is out of bounds. This is a learning phase, a healing journey. It's happening in the heavens and it's happening on the earth. And before I go, again, please like, share, and subscribe. Join the family and help us grow. So as I bring this to a close, all I can say is y'all keep it tight. Take it light. All right? Peace.